Welcome back to Figure Depot. Today we're taking a look at the Superman from the McFarlane Toys Superpowers line. This is a relaunch of the 1984 Superpowers collection by Kenner Toys. A lot of similarities in design, but some significant differences, and we'll get into that here in a second. It's a mixed bag. I love this, but I'm also irritated by a couple things, so we'll get into that. We've got the front of the package here with the blister bubble, then we got the card back. And you can see the other figures available in the line. You got the Batwing, Supermobile, Batman, Darkseid, and Superman. Here's the barcode if you're trying to chase it down, but just go to your Walmart because they're hitting shelves right now. First point of irritation, they put a big hole in the cape. Why? With that little tab. Killing me. So, I do love the S on the back. The material is not great. It's a real cheap, flimsy, it's just not very good material. It's very stiff. It doesn't fall and drape like the classic material does, which is frustrating. One of my favorite things about the classic figures is how well the cloth draped from the capes. They were nice and full, and they just fell like real fabric would fall on, someone wearing a full-size costume. These are very stiff material, and I just don't like it. So that's a knock for sure. The sculpts are good enough. They look fine. The blue on the Superman's a little bit darker than the classic vintage figure, but not so dark that it's bothersome. It's still a pretty blue. The red's a little darker, I think. It's a little more of a cherry red than a fire engine red, like the classic figure. So just, some subtle differences there. Some people won't mind that at all. I'm kind of a purist, I guess. I'm learning that about myself. If they're gonna remake something to be something that it was, then make it the same. That they're changing enough of it that it just doesn't quite feel like it felt in 1984 when I got my hands on the Superpowers collection for the first time. But, it's still fun. It's still a novelty. It still has a certain appeal to it, but there's certainly some elements that are disappointing and not what I was hoping for and expecting. So here you can see the discrepancy in the scale. You have your vintage figure here, and then you have the current figure, and you can just tell they're slightly larger sized than the classic ones. So I'm curious to see what they do with Wonder Woman in terms of sculpt and scale. That's gonna be intriguing for sure. Looking at the material that their capes are made out of, you can see just how nice this fabric is, how it, falls and drapes, and you can drape it over the figure if you want to and kind of get that look, or you can pull it back. It's just the way it falls and flows is, very nice. This, on the other hand, is just, it's not pleasant to feel, the texture itself. It's just a cheap, stiff, I just don't like it. It feels almost plastic in terms of it, the texture just feels like a thin sheet of plastic almost. It's probably a real, just basic nylon or something, but it even crunches. Like when you touch this, you can't hear it. When you touch this, it's like rubbing your fingers on a chalkboard. So not a fan of that at all. No action features. When you squeeze these guys' legs, their arms punch and swing. Nothing going on here in terms of that. So also these guys are going to have a hard time fitting in your classic vehicles, but we are getting vehicles with this line, so they'll have their own vehicles that they can get in. But yeah, you know, it's kind of disappointing for some. I've talked to a few people who are already saying like, yeah, I was excited, but now I'm like, eh. And I get that. I understand that. But yeah, there's just nothing quite like the original, you know. But I still think it's fun. I still think it's a novelty. And I would say if you're gonna collect these, just keep them in the box. If you're going for that vintage, you know, if you're going for that nostalgia feel. Because once you get them out and feel them in hand, they might not be quite as fun as you were hoping they would be. At least that's been my experience. But, you know, everybody's different and you may have a different take on it. Well, thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a great day. Please check out my Instagram, and see you next time. And just real quick, here he is with Dark Side.